Welcome to the ranking of the top 20 most popular ammo calibers in the world. Today we're going through the full lineup, from the everyday everybody's heard of it rounds to the absolutely huge borderline ridiculous one. Alright, let's start. We're opening with handgun ammo, including semi-auto pistols and revolvers. These are the calibers you've seen in movies, games, and in real life. Let's run through the 10 biggest names. 9x19mm Parabellum, 9mm Luger. This is basically the default handgun caliber worldwide. It was born around 1901 to 1902, which is honestly ancient, and is still trendy today. Militaries and police forces all over the planet trust 9mm because the balance is just right. Solid, effectiveness, light recoil, and usually cheaper ammo. That combo is almost unfair. You see it everywhere in pop culture too. John Wick's clock energy, the MP5 in classic spy movies. And if you play Battle Royale games, you've definitely seen 9mm on the ground 1,000 times. Bottom line, 9mm is small but is not weak. Zombies, bad guys in action movies, soda cans at the range, it does the job. And in the hands of a good shooter, it can absolutely be a one-shot, one-kill moment. 45 ACP. If 9mm is sleek and efficient, .45 ACP is the big, slow boss. This round was developed by John Browning more than 100 years ago, and it was famously the standard caliber for the legendary 1911 in the US military history. The upside is straightforward. The bullet is bigger and heavier, so when it hits, it feels like a serious thump. There's an old joke in gun culture. 9mm might need to expand, but .45 is already big. The idea is that 45 makes a big hole without needing extra help. Recoil-wise, it's not always a hard slap. It's more like a gentle push into your shoulder, and the sound is like a deep boom that hits like an 808 bass note. The downside is also simple, because the round is bigger. .45 pistols usually carry fewer rounds, and the ammo is often more expensive than 9mm, but for a lot of gun fans, 45 is never wrong. The moment you crack a 1911 and hear that sharp metal click, you suddenly want to say hello to my little friend. Say hello to my little friend! Number 3. .40 S&W, 10x22mm. This is the kid that sits between 9mm and 45, and it was basically created to make the FBI happy. But the story gets a little rough. .40 S&W came out in 1990 after the FBI wanted something stronger than 9mm, but more compact and practical than full-power 10mm. So Smith & Wesson teamed up with Winchester, and .40 was born. At first, .40 was extremely hot. A lot of US law enforcement agencies switched over because people thought 9mm was too weak. Gun meme culture even gave .40 a nickname. .40 short and weak, a joking twist on Smith & Wesson. Reality check though, .40 is not weak. It hits harder than 9mm. The trade-off is recoil. It often feels snappier, more like a sharp sudden snap. And for some shooters, it feels harsher than 45. These days, a lot of places moved back to the 9mm because modern 9mm ammo improved a lot, and the recoil is easier to manage. So .40 kind of fell off compared to its peak years, but don't sleep on it. .40 still feels solid in the hand, and it's a good pick for anyone who wants more kick than a 9mm without going all the way to .45. .380 ACP, 9x17mm Browning Short. This is the short 9mm's little sibling, built for small, compact pistols. John Browning designed .380 ACP in 1908, mainly for pocket guns, the kind of small pistols you can actually carry comfortably. The vibe is classic spy gun. Picture early era James Bond with Walter PPK. The movies often say .32 ACP, but upgraded PPK and PPKS variants are commonly associated with .380. .380 is smaller and generally weaker than 9mm because it uses less powder, which also means softer recoil. It's easier to shoot, especially in tiny guns, and you don't get that hands flying everywhere feeling. Some people call .380 too weak, but compared to .22, .380 is definitely a step up. And if we're doing a fictional apocalypse talk, yes, it can still handle close-range zombie problem if you land the shot where it counts. .22 long rifle, 5.6 by 15mm R. This is the smallest caliber on the list, but in terms of popularity, it's on a different level. .22 LR is famous because it's cheap, and recoil is basically a mosquito bite. A lot of shooters start with .22 LR, plinking cans, learning fundamentals, practicing accuracy, dealing with pests like rats, hunting small animals like rabbits. It covers a lot. The sound is that light pop pop firecracker vibe. It feels friendly and people act like they don't even need ear protection, although you still should. The downside is power. The bullet is tiny, about the size of a pen tip, so stopping, power, and penetration are limited. But don't treat it like a toy. There's a brutal saying for a reason. 1.22 in the right place can still be deadly. And when the US has ammo shortages, .22 LR is often the first thing to sell out because it's cheap and everybody grabs it. In games, .22 is often portrayed as weak and annoying, like you're just itching the enemy. In real life, if we're talking about zombie fiction again, it can still do the job, but you better hit the brain. .38 Special, 9x29mm R. The name says special, but in modern times it's more like classic standard. It came out in the late 1800s for police revolvers. For a long time, .38 Special was huge, then it slowly lost the spotlight to 9mm. .38 Special is usually soft shooting because it runs at lower pressure. It's great for practice and for old school classic style self-defense setup, and it has a vibe. Load .38 Special into a Colt or a Smith & Wesson revolver and suddenly you feel like a detective in a 1940s noir movie. 357 Magnum, 9x33mm R. Now we're talking a true Magnum legend. 357 Magnum is famous, and yes, it's the caliber tied to the iconic Colt Python that Rick Grimes uses in The Walking Dead. That revolver energy is real. 357 Magnum came out in 1934, and for a long time it held the reputation as the most powerful handgun round in the world. It's basically 38 Special extended with extra powder, so it hits much harder. The upside is serious power. For defense, it can be a one-shot fight stopper when the shot is placed well. Hunters also use 357 Magnum for deers and wide bores at close range. The downside is recoil. Especially in smaller, lightweight revolvers, 357 can be brutal for beginners. It can leave your hand numb and your brain buzzing. And there's an important detail from the hunting side. Some 357 expanding bullets designed for hunting may not expand well through heavy clothing in defensive scenario. So if you're picking ammo for defense, you have to choose the right type. Still, overall, 357 Magnum is the final boss of classic revolver calibers, both old school and powerful. 44 Magnum, 10.9x33mm R. If 357 is legendary, 44 Magnum is legendary in God mode. It came out in 1955 and got immortalized by movies, including the famous Dirty Harry line calling it the most powerful handgun cartridge in the world. 44 Magnum is bigger and stronger than 357, and every shot sounds like thunder. The upside, insane power. For big game hunting or just pure don't mess with me presence. 44 Magnum is the definition of overpowered. In the hands of a skilled shooter, it can even be used for close range protection against something like a black bear, assuming the aim is solid. The downside, recoil is intense, and the blast is loud, enough to make your ears regret their life choices. After a few shots, your wrist can feel numb for a moment. Ammo is also expensive and heavy, and almost nobody carries 44 Magnum day to day unless they're trying to turn their wrist into a gym. 5.7x28mm FN. This is the most modern and different round in the handgun section. 5.7x28 was developed by FN in Belgium in the late 1980s. The goal was a tiny cartridge that flies fast and can penetrate armor better than a 9mm. The result looks like a rifle round that got shrunk in the washer. Pointed bullet, longer case, high velocity. With military-type loads, it can go over 700 meters per second. Upside, it's fast, flat shooting. It has a longer effective reach than most handgun rounds, and the standard armor-piercing type load for 5.7 has a reputation for going through soft armor like it's nothing. That's why special units like platforms like the FNP90 and the 5.7 pistol. The downside, ammo is expensive and not as common, and guns in 5.7 are usually not cheap either. 50 Action Express, 12.7x33mm. This is the round that made the Desert Eagle famous. If you've watched movies or played games, you've seen that flashy, often gold-plated DE vibe. That's the 50 AE. The upside is simple. It's huge. The bullet is 50-inch, about 12.7mm, which is close to the bullet diameters of 50 BMG sniper rounds, just with much shorter case. Power is extreme. Each shot feels like a mini explosion. The blast is shocking, and recoil can be so strong that if your grip is weak, it can feel like the gun wants to jump out of your hands. One shot and you'll feel like you just did a Thanos snap. The downside, it's too powerful for most practical real-world uses. Almost nobody carries a Desert Eagle in 50 AE for self-defense outside of movies. It's heavy, hard to conceal, and the over-penetration risk through walls is a real safety concern. But for fun at the range, 50 AE is a crap magnet. The muzzle blast and the fireball always pull attention, and in Counter-Strike, the Deagle is legendary for that one-shot headshot reputation. It's not a common fighting caliber, but it's absolutely an icon of overkill and pop culture.